Before you watch this report by ABC News 15, understand this. The issues you're about to hear were identified in an internal investigation. The Internal Affairs investigation documented serious concerns with forensic practices, the same types of issues raised in Sterling's case through expert analysis. But while those findings exist, full examination through evidence hearings was not permitted in court and could not be used by the defense to challenge the state's evidence. Now listen closely, because when Sterling's case is raised, the connection becomes undeniable.
Tempe's top cop admitting for the first time that issues within the city's forensic services unit are problematic.
After months of requests for an interview, the ABC 15 investigators were finally able to ask Tempe's police chief about how crime scene technicians were using expired chemicals, outdated lab equipment, and processing crime scenes with no standard operating procedures. Here's ABC 15 investigator Nicole Grigg with the latest.
If you have not been following our reports, Tempe police pulled their crime scene technicians from all major scenes, and now they've hired an outside police agency to collect evidence. Leaders have downplayed issues within the unit, saying it was all about the need for upgraded training, but that is not the case. Problems with Tempe's Forensic Services Unit go back at least 5 years. That's when Tempe police leaders learned that members of the unit had concerns with their former supervisor, but nothing changed. 3 years later, this internal affairs report into that supervisor found the unit used expired chemicals, lacked proper equipment like cameras, had outdated lights that did not allow for the proper examination of fingerprints. As for Tempe, we're asking the city manager and chief of police to sit down for an interview. That was our report and direct request 2 weeks ago, after our repeated request for an interview was declined. So that took us to last Thursday.
Nicole with ABC 15.
Before a city council meeting, we found the police chief leaving a holiday photo shoot with the mayor and city manager. We tried to speak with him.
Get a hold of my PIO and we will...
We've been trying.
Shortly after that attempt, a spokesperson agreeing that their new police chief would make a few minutes for us.
You didn't have a standard operating procedure to process crime scenes.
Right, and I would agree with you, that's problematic. And like I said, I've only been here 5 months now, and truly I'm just learning of all of these deficiencies.
The chief repeatedly telling us he's been here just 5 months. So we asked if he's worried about the people around him and the leadership in the police department that let issues go on for so long.
So as the new police chief, one of the first things I've started to do is build my team, my command team, and that's still an ongoing process.
The ABC 15 investigators obtaining this memo sent from Tempe Police to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office last month that says they've reviewed over 400 cases and that 20% of the examined cases have been identified for fingerprint reevaluation. The chief insists they have not found any cases impacted.
We're still under that review process, and no cases have been impacted due to the evidence collection of FSU. There's, as discussed, about 20% of the cases that we've set aside so far to have reevaluated. But I cannot say definitively that cases have been negatively impacted by our forensic services unit.
But we have already reported that there's a man by the name of Sterling Evans sitting in jail, expected to be on trial for second-degree murder early next year. His defense team claims there's a lack of evidence in his case. We asked Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell about how this case can move forward.
Well, if there's gaps, there will likely be a continuance. I mean, it's not uncommon for a case to be going on while evidence is being tested. That's not uncommon at all. But certainly if there are unanswered questions or if the science is in question, we certainly want to get that shored up before we would proceed to trial on something like that.
Tempe's Criminal Investigation Bureau is the one reviewing major cases. Then when they identify cases, they're being sent to Mesa Forensics for complete reanalysis. So our last question to the chief, almost interrupted by a spokesperson for the city, was should the public trust Tempe to be reviewing the cases?
Shouldn't you just send them all out to someone else?
I think we're good.
Well, I mean, I think that's a fair last question. Do you think that these cases should be reviewed by someone outside of Tempe?
So the cases have been. Any cases that potentially may impact someone that's in the criminal justice system have been turned over to the county attorney's office already. So that the information is already in the hands of the independent party to review. So we're going through it again, reviewing all of them. Again, if anything needs to be reevaluated, we're sending that to the lab, and we're in the process of working with the county attorney's office to show which cases have been reviewed and what our analysis of that was.
We know that the former supervisor of the Forensic Services Unit is on the so-called Brady list for law enforcement officials with documented integrity concerns. We plan to continue to look into her, as well as the case of Sterling Evans and why his defense questions how his case can move forward. I'm investigator Nicole Grigg, ABC 15, Arizona.
We heard Rachel Mitchell explain what should happen, but what has actually happened in this case? In the case of Sterling Evans, the defense has presented multiple expert witnesses, each identifying serious issues with the integrity and handling of the evidence. Yet the court has denied at least 4 requests for evidentiary hearings, preventing those issues from being fully examined. Rather than confronting those findings, the prosecution has consistently moved to block evidentiary hearings and suppress expert reports and testimony, preventing the jury from hearing them. And this is the real issue. You have to ask, what are the odds that no cases over a 5-year period were affected by the issues identified in the internal investigation? Because if these concerns are valid in the case of Sterling Evans, then the door is open to a much larger question. How many other cases may be affected, and how many may need to be re-examined? What's at stake here is not just one case. It's the integrity of the process itself used in cases over a 5-year period. In future videos, we will show how unresolved forensic issues, including evidence tampering, destruction of evidence, deletion of crime scene photographs, chain of custody failures, and compromised evidence integrity are not addressed, but instead suppressed. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching. If transparency in the justice system matters, like, share, and subscribe to help bring these issues to light.